Jupiter's Legacy premiered. I'm going to try to make that a little easier for you guys to be able to do. This is Be Real with D-Real. What up? What up? It's your man D-Real, and edutainment's what I do. Welcome to another Be Real with D-Real. Hey, before we get off into this Jupiter Legacy thing, I want to say from RIP, if you like what I'm putting down on this page, comment, like, and subscribe. Yeah, do that to the Be Real with D-Real page. That way you can get new content as it comes out. Now, as I said in the intro, Jupiter's Legacy premiered just this past Friday. For those that are not into the comic thing and are absolutely unaware of what I am talking about, Jupiter's Legacy is, well, before it was a Netflix series, it was a comic book produced by Image Comics by Mark Miller and Frank Quitely in April of 2013. Jupiter's Legacy and Jupiter's Circle have been combined more or less into one show, and they're just calling it Jupiter's Legacy. But Jupiter's Legacy proper, it chronicles the adventures of Sheldon Sampson, his wife Grace, who are both superheroes. They're like the premier superheroes. Sheldon is a superhero called the Utopian, and basically the Utopian is, for all intents and purposes, Superman. And his wife is Lady Liberty. And their two children, Chloe and Brandon, have taken separate paths, whereas Brandon wants to embrace the family business. Chloe, on the other hand, does not. And not only does she not want to embrace the business, she don't even want to act right. She's just out here. She is, as they say, for the streets. Now, the story sort of develops as, well, let's just call it epic soap opera of the highest order. I mean, basically, Chloe and Brandon are second generation superheroes. Their parents are first generation superheroes, the original superheroes of the original six, who formed a group called the Union. And they went to this island back in the 1930s, right after the stock market crash and the depression had started. They lost their fortune, so they had nothing to lose. So they went to this island, and what do you know? They got superpowers. Now, the series, the television series, the Netflix series itself, tells the story. It tells Sheldon's story. It tells his story of his problems with his family, while simultaneously telling the story of how he got his powers and formed the Union. Now, the Union operates on a very simple but strict code. Don't kill, don't rule, and do good. Simple for the simplest, simple superhero to follow. But, you know, as we know, there are those gray areas that are sometimes undefined, and things happen. And for one reason or another, I know I'm getting close. I'll back off, I promise. There, that's better. Now, for some reason or another, there are instances where a superhero may or may not be forced to kill. We know that. But this generation of up and coming superheroes, as we might figure, are having a hard time with the don't kill, do good, don't rule sort of thing. But like things are laid out now in Jupiter's Legacy, we're just seeing the beginnings of this disharmony amongst the superheroic community. Another thing about Jupiter's Legacy is there is a lot of interacting and intermingling between the good guys and the bad guys. And that line really starts to get blurred in Jupiter's Legacy. And without giving away what's going on in the show, things start to unfold. They start to unfold in very interesting and entertaining ways. Jupiter's Legacy in and of itself, I don't think, to me, it doesn't qualify as just a superhero TV series. It's kind of a superhero soap opera, I think, would be the best way to describe Jupiter's Legacy. And there's a lot of that in there. There's that social dynamic, there's that interaction dynamic, there's that family dynamic. And the one thing of all of it, I think, that suffers the most is the action. We get to see superhero battles, we get to see superheroes engage one another, but because, like I said, because it's a show about superheroes, there should be some things going on that should be a given. One of the things that happens in this story is there's a lot of family dynamic going on. And what I mean by family dynamic is you might have a sister who dances just a little bit better than you, or you might have a brother who's just a little bit better at sports than you. And when Sheldon, who is the utopian, first gets his powers, or when all of them do, he seems to get the lion's share of it because he's lauded and regarded as the greatest of all the six. Most of them don't have a problem with that, but as Jupiter's Legacy develops, I think you're going to see some things that kind of point to there ultimately being trouble in paradise. Overall, I think after binging the series, and as far as authenticity or sticking closely to what the original series, in this case, comic book was, I think they did a pretty fair job. Josh Duhamel does an excellent job as Utopian, and Leslie Bibb, who you might recognize as Tony Stark's jump off in the first Iron Man movie, plays Lady Liberty. I think both of them are kind of the anchor that links all of this together. And as they are harmonious, so is the superhero group they form, the Union, harmonious, and their family harmonious. But when they aren't of like mind, when they aren't walking together, everything falls to the wayside. And that's something a lot of us need to remember in real life. If mama ain't happy, if daddy ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Overall, I would give Jupiter's Legacy, I would give it a firm 8. And the only reason it doesn't get a 10 from me is because I didn't see enough superhero action. The superhero action I did see, don't get it twisted now, y'all. The superhero action I did see wasn't bad. I just didn't get to see enough of it. And I know some of y'all out there like, oh, my superhero action, are you expecting? On a show called Jupiter's Legacy, a lot. The legacy of Jupiter, okay? As that name tells you, a lot of what goes on in Jupiter's legacy is ensconced in Roman mythology, which is ultimately derived from Greek. So if you know anything about Greek or Roman mythology, you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what's going on with Jupiter's legacy. I am not going to reveal plot details. I am not going to reveal what has or hasn't gone on in the comics. Suffice to say, if you want to know more about Jupiter's legacy, you might want to get on Wikipedia, or you might want to go to Miller World, which is it's a independently owned company by Mark Miller, who is the creator of Jupiter's Legacy, as well as other titles that you may recognize, such as Wanted and Kick-Ass. Yeah, Mark Miller did that. So if you have a particular question about Jupiter's Legacy, either the TV show or the 2 comic book series, which is Jupiter's Legacy and Jupiter's Circle, drop the question down in there. And as always, I'm going to need y'all to like, comment, and subscribe to the Be Real with D Real page. And until I see you again, y'all be good and be good to each other.